very big brightness on the video as well. It looks like you've recorded it in like HD there. 3 turn 1, 3 turn 2.
I should be streaming now, so I'm gonna grab that.
Oh yeah, I'll have a check of that actually. Hang on, have I subscribed? I don't think I've subscribed to you on. Oh yeah, I'll have a check of that actually.
Yeah, your voice being picked up, lovely.
Hang on, have I subscribed? I don't think I've subscribed to you on. Ah yeah, you're live. There we go. You've now got over 1,000 subscribers, and the 3 has not gone up on the 1.02. Sadly.
Yeah, I got I literally just over 1,020.
Yeah,
like
Matt Tibbos's connection's not looking great.
I am not in it yet.
Oh yeah, I've given you an invite. I forgot to tell you.
Sway gave me an invite as well.
You're an invite. Sway's giving you an invite. Oh, fine.
It's good when I get invited to stuff.
Yeah. Matt Tibbos's connection has improved now since I've mentioned it.
Sway's down to 1 bar. That's unusual.
Sway on a 1 bar. Sway for me is on 5.
It must be my connection to Sway then. Because if you look on my stream real quick, and now you'll see he's 1 bar.
Let's have a look. Oh yeah, he is. It might fix itself though when it
Yeah, it just did.
When somebody else joins.
Literally just fixed as soon as you said it might fix itself now.
Right, probably go back
Chibi,
down to 1 bar now that I've said that.
Chibi, come on now, out of my seat.
Well, that was a flash and a half. I saw that above my light. Whatever that firework was. Feels so good to get away from bloody seeing fireworks. Tom is ready when we are. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm just gonna mute myself real quick while I try and get this cat out of my seat.
No worries. We're gonna go anyway. We've all got our split screen up, which is great. Without further ado, 10 seconds. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TTML. We are here for Division 2 action here tonight on Bonfire Night in the United Kingdom as we take in for you the Circuit Barcelona-Catalonia for the Spanish Grand Prix. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as always, and joining me in the commentary box tonight is, of course, Mr. Mike Edwards. Mike, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Looking forward to it. What should be a very exciting race around the circuit, Catalonia, Barcelona.
It is going to be fascinating, of course, and as I've alluded to, we have got Bonfire Night in the UK, so apologies if you hear any fireworks in advance. Trust me, they are absolutely deadly, and we'll do our best to try and provide you the action rather than look out the window and see some pretty flashy lights. Anyways, we'll get into the stream. And what we'll do first, of course, like last week, is take you through that hot lap video. This time, it is by Excel's Widema. So now we're going to ride on board with him as he takes us for a lap of the Spanish Grand Prix circuit. And now we see coming up on your screens, Widema is going to be taking us through this lap. He's got 6 races to his name, 124 points in total, 1 win and 3 podiums to his name. 16 turns, of course, await him out on track, and he is driving the Alfa Romeo, which he is so valiantly defending, of course, within here in Division 2, alongside J. Cole, of course, tonight, as he now comes around the final corner, and Widema is going to start us off on a lap, running then down this long 1 kilometre straight down towards turn 1. Very tricky braking zone this. If you get it wrong slightly, you will run wide and possibly end up into the wall coming through turn 2. Then through turn 2, and then beautifully coming through turn 3. Some drivers tend to take the wider out line coming through turn 3, so it'll be quite interesting to see how that gets on. And now through the first sector split on the run towards turn 4. And another very tricky braking zone coming down the hill in towards turn 5. And this tends to be the point where most drivers without ABS lock up out on track and might cost themselves some time. Then through the kink at 6, and then through 7 and 8, this very tricky corner. If you run wide there, you will pick up an invalidation within qualifying. Now coming through turn 9, flat right-hander coming now towards the second half of the lap, then towards the second sector split, and he goes through that split very nicely indeed. And now through turn 10, and then up the hill in towards 11 and 12. The most technical sector, I think, out on track is the third sector at the top of the hill. The highest point out on track coming through 12 and 13, and then on the run down towards 14 and 15. Looking really nice here so far for Widema. Very clean lap, keeping it within the white lines, which is what you want in qualifying. As Widema now around the final corner takes us for a lap of the Spanish Grand Prix circuit at the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia, and that wasn't a bad lap.
No, it was a great lap from Widema.
And we'll see, of course. Oh, go on.
I was going to say, looking to add to his tally here tonight.
Yeah, he is indeed. And Widema, of course, joined us in the interview room and the commentary box after the race, for finishing on the podium. Let's see what it did last time out in China, though. AJ now out on top in the championship after a very good run, I've got to say, in China. He now leads in the Mercedes on 52 points. You might see the graphics show on McLaren. He's in the Mercedes, I can tell you. Mashibo in second in the McLaren on 45 points, with Seb and Widema tied for third on 40. Gary in fifth on 34 points, with Volo Congan in sixth on 27. Sway in seventh on 21, with Nathan in eighth on 20. Tionis in ninth on 19. And Trippy Jeff, who I believe is not attending tonight, he's in 10th on 18 points. Matt Tibos in 11th on 16. Parody, J. Cole, Coreboy, Adamako filling out that top 15, with TRT James tied on 11 points in 15th. Dan Morris, the reserve, picking up his first points of the season last time out in 17th. Alonso in 18th. Ryan and F1 AMG not yet in picking up any points out on track. To the constructors' standings, and well, it's just same old, same old. Like in real life, it is Mercedes who take the championship currently, 92 points, with McLaren in second on 61, Alfa Romeo in third on 54, then we've got Haas, Williams, Renault, Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Racing Point and Ferrari, and believe it or not, Ferrari have got 0 points still out on track, and they'll be hoping to try and pick up some points here tonight, Mike.
Yeah, they'll be looking to get some points on the board, and it's kind of like a real-life Ferrari. They're just not really doing well at the moment.
They're really not, but now that you've said that, though, I think they might do well tonight. As long as the Ferraris actually do turn up, we'll have a look just quickly through. F1 AMG is the sole Ferrari within the lobby currently. You guys can't see this, but I can report that F1 AMG is the only man in that Ferrari in a current seat within the lobby. So it'll be fascinating to see how everyone gets on out on track. I think we are just moments away from us beginning. Mike, what is Spain as a track to like? I always consider it as one of those tracks that we love to commentate on and the viewers love, but the drivers absolutely detest.
Yeah, this track is really testing, especially when you get into that final sector. So technical. Sector 2, obviously, very easy to pick up warnings through turns 7, 8. And you can just run a little bit wide through turn 9 and end up in the gravel and lose it into the wall. So it is an incredibly testing track, and being at Spain as well, there is a possibility for some weather conditions. to play a factor, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
It could be like Division 1, the drivers are now readying up within the lobby, but it could be like Division 1 where we had rain in qualifying, full intermediate conditions within qualifying. Only towards the end of the session it was starting to get dry, but yet it didn't turn dry and nobody got on a dry compound lap. But in the race, it was bone dry. Bone dry for the 33 laps that await us here out on track tonight. And with 10 seconds to go, it is going to be fascinating to see how these guys get on. And of course, it is customary, of course, here in Division 2 to run you through, of course, the proper introduction for the stream and for the track in question, of course, being Spain. I'm just getting that up quickly now, but we are about ready to go straight into qualifying. So good luck to all of the drivers here out on track as we now embark on qualifying. We are here then for Division 2 of TTML. Round 3 of the championship, of course, as we take in the Spanish Grand Prix at the Barcelona-Catalunya circuit. We see, of course, 16 turns await these drivers out on track tonight. My name, of course, is James Head, and Mike Edwards joining me, of course, alongside in the commentary box. I'm sure he's got some guests alongside him with his cats watching on as well, and I'll mention that, of course, in the introduction. But let's have a look at the track in question. 16 turns, 4.6 miles in length, with 2 DRS zones, one down the start finish straight, one down towards turn 10 as well. Not really an undulating circuit out on track, so it's going to be fascinating to see how the drivers cope. You've got to have a balanced setup around here in Spain, and it's going to be quite fascinating to see how these guys do get on out on track. As we embark on qualifying then, and you guys now see both of our points of view, I hope, within qualifying, it is bone dry here in qualifying, which I think is good because these guys can get a good dry lap in around here.
Yeah, I think they'll be counting the lucky stars as bone dry out there. In the wet, it can be such a mind-numbing track to drive around, but you're in the dry, everyone can just leave it out there on track and put in the best performance possible.
Yeah, a feature that we like to produce, of course, is the live driver standings as they go along. So just to remind you, if you are tuning in to the stream here tonight, the live drivers' championship as follows. AJ on 52 points, Mashiwa in second on 45, Seb in third on 40 points, with Spadema also on 40 points as well, and Gary rounding off the top 5 on 34 points. He got his first interview of TTML Division 2 last week, of course, alongside Spadema, who joined us in the commentary box. But Volakongan is about to embark on a lap, and I'll run you through this lap. Mike will probably watch on board with somebody else, I'm sure, within qualifying, and make use of effect of both of our split-screen views that we will produce, of course, for you here tonight. And a big thank you to Tom for his technical prowess, I've got to say, on the stream. As now Volakongan rounds the final corner out on track in the hat and be hoping to set a good lap, and now embarks on the first lap around here at the Circuit of Barcelona-Catalunya, and now runs down the straight. Already 2 minutes in qualifying, no lap time set. Everyone, it seems, has had a soft, as now Volakongan reaches through turn 1, locks up, and then through turn 2, rides the curve very nicely indeed. Then through turn 3, just getting caught in the middle of the apex, but that is to try and take the tighter line, as you see there, coming on the exit of turn 3. Now through turn 4, it's a purple first sector currently, but that McLaren just in behind, I think, as Mashiwa on an outlap, he might have just, he's certainly behind him out on track. But looking now down through turn 5, and on the run up the hill and towards 6 and 7, and then through 7 and 8 here. Very tricky corner to get right, and that is why, because Volakongan has picked him an invalidation out on track, but will continue to run on board with him. He's got a car just pulling off to the left-hand side there in AJ, the current championship leader. Volakongan through the middle sector. Just seen on his dashboard, that would have been a 49 flat through the middle sector for Volakongan as he runs up the hill in a very high 4th gear through there, and then through up into 5th, and then down once again into that 4th gear, coming through 13, 14, 15 and 16. Be hoping to try and get a good lap in. He might come into the pit lane, but he's not. He's going to continue on with this lap as he rounds the final corner, and Volakongan is about to do a 114.7, an invalid lap from him. Not too bad.
I was on board with Rostro as he spins it out of turn 15 into the wall in the pit lane entry.
So unfortunate for Russell. We'll just call on board with that as well. He's on a set of medium compound of tyres, which is quite interesting. He jukes back into the pit lane. Sees Wadema coming across the line there with an invalid lap. Sionis is on a lap as well. Nathan's gone second. Ryan out on top, currently 14.6. But what sort of lap times would we be expecting from these guys out on track? Because I'm thinking towards like the 14.1s, 14.2s mark, I'm thinking for Bull.
I'm thinking, yeah, low 14s, possibly, maybe see 1 or 2, just squeak into the 13s perhaps.
Yeah, 13s are possible. I mean, we didn't get it, of course, of that intermediate run that we had in Division 1. She was going second with a 14.8. Goodness me, Sionis is fighting the car. Coming through turn 12, 13. It's a very unbalanced setup. He tries to take the rallycross line through there, through 14 and 15. And now Sionis, who is still on a valid lap, is about to come across the line. And it was a 116.8. If he didn't cock up that final sector, pardon the French there as well, but if he didn't mess that up, I think it would have been in the 15s for sure.
Yep, and I was just on board with Alonso there in the middle sector. Just gone purple. So this could be a good lap from Alonso in that racing point as he's in the final sector now, going around turn 12. Pretty much a never-ending corner, turn 12. You really want to minimise the distance around that corner as we come through the final chicane of 14 and 15 around the final corner. What is Alonso going to do? DRS wide open, and it's a very poor lap, but it's a purple final sector.
Yeah, I think he might have backed off that through the first sector. The biggest indicator would have been if he was using any ERS on that lap time. Of course, ERS meaning the energy recovery system. I'm over with J. Cole coming through turn 7 and 8, and he's another one that gets caught out through turn 8. He's picked up another invalid lap. Interestingly, though, he's another one of the drivers that's out there on a set of medium compounded tyres. And we talk about the tyres here in qualifying. Just how degrading is this circuit? Because I think of it about 5% a lap sometimes on these tyres.
Yeah, you really don't want to set two. You really don't want to have two flying runs on the same set of softs. That can really upset your strategy at the start of the race. As just staying on board with Alonso, he was going for another lap, and 2.6 seconds up, but it's an invalid lap, and I assume he's going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. But yeah, tyre wear going to be crucial here, and those starting outside the top 10 will get, in my view, the preferred strategy, the mediums to the hards.
Yeah, and we run on board now with TRT James, who's just about to start on an outlap as well, and he last week in China picked up 10 seconds to be added onto his race time tonight. He caused a collision last week in China. I believe that was down into the hairpin, if I'm not mistaken, as well, through 14 on one of the laps. But James now coming down through turn 1, and now breaks in towards turn 1 and then through turn 2, looking very nice through there. And as soon as I say that, he spins the car on the inside curb. And that is the reason why I'm in the commentary box and not there out on track.
Yeah, just taking a little bit too much of that inside curve from the looks of things at turn 2. But on board with Rostro, he's chucked on a set of the soft tyres. Now he's purple in sector 1 and in sector 2. So he comes into the final sector now through turns 12. Keeping it nice and tight through there, minimising the distance. We go through 13 into the final chicane, 14 and 15. Very difficult set of corners of 14 and 15. Not as bad as they were on previous games, but...
Oh, no. Rostro across the line, 15.1, I think that was in the end. I was just on board with Parody just in behind him, and he spun onto the gravel coming through turn 15. And unfortunately, he was in a position where he had to J-turn the car, essentially, or U-turn the car, and he has ended up not going for a proper lap. 24.4, not great. AJ waved on, essentially, by Parody there. And we'll run on board now, try and catch on board with somebody that's on the lap. Gary's towards the end of a lap, and he's in Ballard. But with 10 minutes to go here in qualifying, Ryan's still out on top. It was the first lap that actually got purple. 14.6 is not a bad lap so far, but I'm just looking at J. Cole there in 5th, a 1:15.4.
Yeah, on the medium compound tyres as well.
Yeah, fascinating. Volakongan, 0.02 of a second off the back of Ryan with that lap. Very nice lap there from him. to go second out on track. We didn't catch on board with the lap, which I do apologise for, but I'm sure it was a good lap out on track. I'm just trying to see if there's anybody out there on track that is actually valid, because Cowboy is invalid coming through turn 4, and he runs off into the gravel, and he's really not liking this at all. And has he got, I wonder, a bit of a puncture on the on the rear right? No, he's getting out of the way, I think, of everyone. And yeah, Cowboy not having a great time of things so far.
And a lot of drivers are really struggling out there at the moment, I think, just to get a lap on the board. We've only had 10 laps so far, and Alonso and Powdy not really setting the ideal lap times, neither has Jonas for that matter.
James, I think, has run out of fuel, by the way, and he's coming into the pit lane. He was taking the other circuit, the old circuit here in Barcelona, Catalunya, because remember, there's 2 circuits now, the one with the chicane and one without the chicane coming through the final sector, and of course there's also the national layout and also the India layout as well around here at Barcelona, Catalunya. But what I'll do is I'll ride on board with Adamaco. He might be coming into the pit. It's actually purple coming through this middle sector, so I'll finish up on this lap. I will have to go just briefly, so Mike's view will probably be taken. Interesting though, Adamaco out on a set of medium compound of tyres. He'd be aiming to go, what, AJ, J. Cole sort of area?
Yeah, he'll be hoping he can get into the 15s on the mediums, as we got Mashiro just about to start his lap, so I'll go on board with Mashiro as he's on the run down into turn 1. Currently in 3rd at the moment, looking to improve and get on that front row as he goes through turns 1 and 2, keeping it all hooked up through turns 3, and is looking very good so far.
Yeah, Adamaco would just go on board with his lap there, 15.5, AJ 15.7, F1 AMG is round through turn 9, so he is out the session, unfortunately, in the Ferrari, and just when Ferrari need points as well, that's not what they want to be hoping for out on track with Tifosi, with one car out and the other being filled in, of course, by Rostro, who's up in 4th currently. But what I'll do, I'll run on board Alonso. I think he's just starting on board with a lap, but I'm sure Mike will take you through the rest of qualifying. I'll be back in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Yep, so on board with Mashiro, he is just under 3/10 up, so this is looking like it'll be a contender for provisional pole position as we come through the final sector into the final chicane of 14 and 15. Just to get the best exit possible through the final corner. What's this going to be for the McLaren? As he crosses the line, it's going to be provisional pole. It is a 14.613. Gets him ahead of XL Ryan by just 8 thousandths of a second. As we have the Mercedes, or I believe that could be Scuderia Seth. No, it is his teammate AJ coming into the final corner. So we'll go on board with him real quick. And looks like he's just getting himself set up for a lap. So we'll catch up with AJ in a bit, and we'll see who else is on a lap. We'll go on board with Scuderia Seth. Scuderia Seb, sorry, as we come to the line, and he goes up into 4 for the 15.0 on the medium compound tyres. A fantastic lap there from Scuderia Seb. As who else have we got? We got J. Cole, who has unfortunately invalidated his lap time. We do have the McLarens coming into the final sector, as well as Rostro. So Rostro in the final chicane. Get ready to go on board with AJ, as AJ's in the final sector as well. Rostro to the line, and it's going to be a 14.7, a improvement, but it doesn't get him onto that front row. Gets him just off it by a 10th, as we got AJ now through the final chicane. What is this going to be for the man in the Mercedes? To the line, and it is a 15.0 just in behind his teammate, and both the Mercedes drivers looking good here on those medium compound tyres. However, AJ putting 3 laps on those mediums, not exactly ideal, but we'll see how that will benefit him in the race if he can maintain that top 10 spot, as I believe Matt Tibos, who has lost it, I think, or he's just getting out of the way of the Ferrari of Rostro. I think he has possibly lost the car through turn 9 and just backing out of the lap. We do have the Renault of XL Gary just ahead of the Red Bull of, I believe, alright, that is Corby, and then we got Shwmae in behind, so we have to keep an eye on these guys. I believe AJ is, sorry, not AJ, Nathan is on a lap, and he is 1,000th of a second up, and he backs out. So the driver is starting to cool down just a little bit as we are under 4 minutes to go here in qualifying. As I try to look for someone who is on a flying lap, and I believe Matt Tibos, he has invalidated, so we'll go on board with XL Gary, who is on a set of the medium compound tyres, and a lot of guys out here on the mediums, and it is very interesting to see just how many medium runners we have here. I do think it is the preferred strategy as we go through turn 9. DRS wide open for XL Gary as we go down to turn 10. Keeping it all valid as we go up the hill through 11 and 12. Now into 13, down the hill through the final chicane of 14 and 15. What is this going to be for XL Gary? Did look like he got a little bit too wide for his liking, but to the line he'll come, and it is a 15-0. So Seb, AJ and Gary doing 15-0s on the medium compound tyres.
Yeah, really impressive so far. Mashiro obviously now out on top by 8,000 of a second, and there's only 100th separating the top 3 out on track. So Idema is coming through turn 12, really fighting the car, and again another one that could have an unstable setup. But I wonder actually, most of these guys are going on a set of medium compound tyres. Now we speak about the strategy around here, but could it be the case that we are expecting rain within this race? Idema goes across the line with 15.2 out on track, but most of the guys, majority of the field, are on a set of medium compound tyres, which is not normally what you see around here, if I've got to be honest.
I mean, considering how long it's taken for a lot of drivers to actually get a lap on the borders, I believe we just had Nathan improving there up into 5th with a 14.9, and J. Cole just pipping Nathan there with a 14.8. But I think with how the qualifying session has gone so far, I'm not incredibly shocked to see a lot of people risking it on the mediums, because if you can get into the top 10 on the mediums, you're looking in a good spot for the race.
Yeah, Corby ran the final corner 15.9. He just about just goes on for another lap here as well. Trying to catch on board with somebody that might be coming towards the end of a lap. Tionis as well in 15.8. But actually, the spread of the field, top 13 is separated by less than a second, and that includes 7 drivers on a set of medium compound tyres. The rest, of course, the top 6, all on a set of soft compound tyres. I think Tionis is coming into the pit lane. He is done for tonight in qualifying. Powdy is on a lap here as well. Anybody towards the end of the lap? Sway's retired on the pit lane.
We got J. Cole taking the very wide exit, and I believe that is part of the of a circuit that he was alluding to earlier.
Yeah, I saw that on the mini-map, and I was thinking to myself, where on earth is he going? That's the wrong way. Goodness me. But anyways, he should be starting up on a lap, I think, very soon indeed. 14.8 currently. He's back into the pit lane, I think, so he feels like it's done.
Yeah, but I think it is done for J. Cole, and we got Seb, who's still out there on a set of the mediums. He's currently in 7th place right now, but if he can improve on this lap, you gotta think he could be looking pretty safe in the top 10.
Yes, but Demon's on a lap here as well, 15.2. Purple through the middle sector, though, so this could be fascinating. We are through qualifying. Ryan has not came out for another lap. He's in 2nd, and that's where he might remain. Parody goes 14th, 15.8 out on track. Zwadema pulls off the left-hand side to let a Ferrari through. can only think is Rostro, who is on a lap. He's on a set of soft compound tyres. Can the Belgian deliver as he now comes through the final corners? A McLaren round, I think it might be Matt Tibos that is round, or Mashiro, one of the two McLarens. Rostro across the line does improve, 14.6, but barely improves his position at all. See if there's anybody else on a lap. Seb out there on a lap on a set of mediums, goes 5th, 14.8. Nice lap there by Seb. Anybody else on a lap?
We got Matt Tibos to the line, and he puts it up in the 4th.
Goodness me, look at the top 5. Separated by barely anything out on track. Gary's invalidated as well.
Volokongan couldn't improve. As we got the racing points coming to the line now, and Adam Mako, is he going to finish? I think he's run out of fuel.
He's either run out of fuel. Yeah, he has run out of fuel. I think 15.5 in the end for Adam Mako. Gary not on a lap. AJ will come on board with, though he is not on a lap either. That is then qualifying over and done with. And look at the gap separating the top 5. Barely 700ths of a second in it. And it's Mashiro who takes it from Ryan in 2nd and Volokongan in 3rd. And if you said to me that would be the top 3 in qualifying, then I would have laughed, to be honest. I honestly wouldn't have predicted that.
No, but I think the big surprise of the session is Seb on the mediums being as high as he is.
Yeah, let's have a look then at the full grid order, and only 100th of a second there separating the top 3. But it's Mashiro on top for the McLaren, Ryan in 2nd with Volokongan in 3rd. Matt Tibos in 4th with Rostro in 5th. Seb there in 6th position with Jake Hall in 7th. Nathan in 8th, AJ in 9th. Gary rounding off the top 10, less than 5/10 of a second separating the top 10. Spadema in 11th, Sway in 12th. Alonso 13th, Adamako 14th, 2 racing points starting on the 7th row of the grid. Parry in 15th, Jonas in 16th, Callboy 17th, F1 AMG and TRT James not getting lap times in. F1 AMG, of course, had spun through turn 9 and was out of the session. And TRT James, I don't think he had time for another lap in and retired earlier on in the session. So, now go into this formation lap. Let's have a look then at the track in question once again, because 16 turns await these drivers out on track. 33 corners await these guys as well. And it's 4.6 kilometres in length, 153.6 race distance. And that is why I think majority of the guys have gone on to a different compound of tyres. Certainly within the top 10, we have about half the grid on a medium compound of tyres. It's a very high degrading circuit, and looking at the conditions, it's dry. So that means, I think, these guys have played it tactically, I think, to go one stop towards the end of the race, I think.
Yep, I think everyone who's qualified on the mediums definitely saying that the softs and potentially 2-stop strategy, because I think you can still 1-stop soft to the hards, but it is going to be incredibly close on tyre wear. But obviously the safer option.
Yeah, it will be indeed. I think, obviously, 2-stop strategy could be quicker than a 1-stop. If we get any safety car, of course, if we get any restart, then you guys will have the best possible action, of course. Myself and Mike are running split screen here tonight, so we'll be intertwining between the two. But we are now getting underway for the formation lap. And as I say, 33 laps await these drivers out on track. Support for Bray there in the comments section as well. And it'll be very interesting to see how all of these drivers get on out on track. Let's have a look then at the tyre graphic in question. And looking down the field, only three out of the top 10 are on a set of medium compound of tyres. But everyone else further down the field, including Alamako, Parody, Callboy, going on to that set of hard compound of tyres. That's interesting, I think, in its own right, because they could go, I'm thinking, 20-21 laps, then pit on for a set. I would go for a set of mediums, personally, rather than a set of softs, because these softs only last about 7 laps around here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Adam Mako, Powdy and Callboy do. They have that option open if they want to try and extend the hards to go on a set of softs at the end, but this is going to be interesting. Lap 14, the predicted pit stop for the mediums. I think we won't know too much until around lap 15, where we see which strategy is paid off better.
Yeah, I think honestly 1-stop might be the way to go. If there's no safety cars on OVSCs, then it'll be a lights to flag hopefully victory for Mashiro. We'll have a look on board though with this AlphaTauri man of TRT James, and he is there out on track. And remember, he has a 10-second penalty because he caused a collision last week in China, and that's going to be added on to his race time here out on track tonight. He's starting on a set of mediums. He's got F1 AMG behind, in front of him, actually, down in plumb last position. How do you think he'll get on?
He wants to try and get past Adamaco, Powdy and Cowboy ASAP. You don't want to be stuck behind the hard runners. And he'll be hoping that he can make some steady improvement past the likes of Alonso, who has looked to be struggling here, as well as T. Jonas.
Yeah, Jonas down there in 16th. We now come onto the grid to be right on board then with Mashiro, and we are about to get going. The predicted pit stop strategy comes up: 2 stops, softs, mediums, or softs, mediums, hards, it seems, for the guys out on track on a set of soft compound of tyres. But we are just moments away from TTML Division 2 getting underway. The fireworks are lighting up the night skies outside. They're about to light up here in Spain. Long hold, but it's lights out and away we go. Mashiro gets a very good start. Ryan off the line, Roland Volakongan's trying to make it 3 wide. He actually boxes Ryan out the way. Ryan cuts across and Matt Tibos running down in towards turn 1. Mashiro leads Volakongan on the inside though. Mashiro, I think, is just going to hang on, and he does. Mashiro hangs on to the lead of the race, looking further down. Through in 3rd and 4th. Matt Tibos trying to go the inside of Ryan. There's a little bit of contact. There's 3 wide in the background, I think, as well. J. Cole trying to get past. There's a Reynolds down the inside, I think, is Gary with AJ possibly trying to get a move done further down the field. But looking towards the top end, it is Mashiro who does lead. He's pulled out a 5/10 gap from Volakongan in 2nd, Ryan in 3rd. Matt Tibos in 4th, Rostro 5th. There's Nathan and Seb, 6th and 7th as well. Looking further down the field, F1 AMG, I think, has been caught up in a slight collision, possibly with Callboy, and they're dropping down the field. Callboy looks like he might have damage out on track as well, which is so unfortunate. But Mashiro leads 6/10 of a second. Volakongan 2nd, Ryan in 3rd. Nathan is all over the back of Rostro, and he goes down the inside as the Williams man for 5th position. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2. It's F1 AMG who takes across to the wide-out line, but Nathan through, and he's up into 5th position. What a start!
And yeah, it looked like Nathan's teammate, T. Jonas, was looking to mirror his teammate's move into turn 10, but unable to pull it off. So it looks to be relatively clean for a lot of these guys. Only Cowboy and F1 AMG I've seen struggled at the back.
Yeah, Rostro right on the back of Ryan, running down in towards turn 1. We see a bit of a graphics glitch. Matt Tibos and Nathan are running in positions. There's a safety car. F1 AMG has crashed through the final corner out on track, not going the Ferrari's way at all. And we have a safety car out on track, which will bump the pack up out on track. As we see there, Nathan and Matt Tibos come through. Everyone is still there out on track. But this safety car brings into mind, will these guys, on a set of soft compound of tyres, now go for that 2-stop? Because I think it could be inevitable that they could.
I mean, what these guys on the soft tyres can do now, they can chuck on a set of the hards or a set of the mediums and just go for that box standard 1-stop, but they will be giving up track position for it.
Yeah, apologies if you heard my mic cut in and cut out there. I'm having a little bit of sound issues coming through on my headset. I can only hear Mike on one ear, which is not that great at all. So I'm trying to determine what he's saying. Mashiro the right on top, Volakongan 2nd, Ryan in 3rd. And this safety car could potentially see the soft runners in, as you say. Everyone on a set of mediums, I think, will stay as well as on a set of hard compound of tyres. But bear in mind, are we going to see any pit stops? No, Mashiro doesn't come in, but I think Matt Tibos is. Matt Tibos is coming in. Rostro, I think, is in and behind him as well. So 2 out of the soft runners decide to come in early, and I would imagine they'll put on a set of medium compound of tyres, perhaps. Matt Tibos certainly is, I think.
Just looking at the position gains at the start, T. Jonas up 5 places. Your namesake, TRT James, up 5 places. And Nathan up 4, the big gainers here. According to the graphics, the big losers are Matt Tibos and Rostro, who are just coming to the pits.
Yeah, and they actually haven't came out too far behind the safety car either, if I'm going to be honest. The safety car's only coming down through turn 5. They picked the pack up. Mashiro now leading the pack, of course, Volakongan 2nd, Ryan in 3rd. Nathan now 4th, 7th, 5th, J. Cullen 6th, and there are the position changes as you see on your screen. But we'll get the tyre strategies back up, and both Matt Tibos and Rostro fitted in for a set of medium compound of tyres. Now, I was uncertain actually with Rostro if he was actually going to make it tonight. He said in the chat very late on that he was able to make it and that his seat in that Ferrari was still available, which is good, and he's racing, and he's now within a possible chance of picking up a race victory, because all of the guys ahead will have to come into the pit lane. We would imagine to see the safety car come into the pit lane this time around. Everyone is on the back. I think we'll get straight back underway unless the safety car does that weird thing where, of course, it stays out for at least another lap or so, even though we've got everyone behind the safety car. But Shiro will be preparing to see if the safety car lights are going to go out. And I think, judging by how far we've got round on this lap, I think we're going to be out for another lap at least.
Yeah, and for the guys on the softs, it actually might be a bit of a blessing for them if they want to get another, if they want the strategy of going softs to hards. The longer the safety car stays out, the better that strategy looks for them to stay on the one stop.
Yeah, you see the excessive weaving on the tyres as well. Volakongan on a set of soft compound tyres, really weaving. You can see further down the field, even those guys on the set of mediums, so Gary there in 8th, warming up his tyres as well. And these tyres, I think, will be beginning to ebb away, even though they're under the safety car and they're not going full pelt and not losing 5% a lap. They're still going to be losing a lot of degree of tyre wear on that. And looking at Volakongan, actually, you'll see on the camera shot, I think his rear right is blistering, if I'm not mistaken. There's a big tread going through the middle of the tyre. That seems to me, Volakongan is blistering his tyres, even if he's trying to get them warm. So that might just be something to watch on the restart, because I don't think he might have enough traction, and it might be under pressure from Ryan.
Yeah, it does look like he is struggling just a little bit on the tyres at the moment for the Kongan, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see what his grip is going to be like on the restart. Safety car should be in at the end of this lap, so everyone getting themselves psyched up to get back underway, and it's going to be interesting to see how Scuderia, Seb, AJ, Gary and Zwedema get off to a decent start, because they want to get past these soft tyres ASAP.
Yeah, I think all of these guys on the set of softs could come under a little bit of pressure, as Mike says. Seb, AJ, Gary, especially the two Mercedes, I think, Seb and AJ, 5th and 7th. J. Cole separating them on a set of soft compound of tyres in 6th. It's going to be fascinating to see. We ride on board then with Mashiro. There is Volakongan and Ryan and Nathan in behind. And they're preparing to get the restart done. I think he'll go, possibly, on the exit of turn 15. And actually, he tries to prepare to go, backs up the pack even further, and he'll be good to go through the chicane. And we're going to get underway. Mashiro's times very well. And again, Volakongan at the final corner catches a little bit of a slide on there. But we're back in the way. Mashiro leads. Look at the field, though. Big split in parts. Further down the field, AJ and Gary have got a second gap between them running down the straight. Don't think anybody is going to be close enough for possible move down in towards turn 1. Thomas getting close onto the back of Alonso for 10th, but nothing as such just yet. Mashiro gets the lead, though. Volakongan second, Ryan in third, Nathan in fourth. Very good and clean restart, though, as AJ looks to put pressure on J. Cole.
Yep, AJ really leaving Gary sleeping there at the final chicane, and it's unusual to see Gary that hesitant on the safety car restart.
Yeah, Gary, I think, forfeited the ground coming out the final chicane. He might not get the necessarily good run as he would have been hoping, but because he's just given himself a little bit of clean air now to aim at AJ, he will begin to close the gap up. And you can see off the left-hand side, he begins to close that gap up. Sway looking quite close on Adamako here as well for 12th. Not going to get the move done, and nobody is going to change positions, I don't think, here out on track on lap 5 out of 33. Just running down the field, Rostro and Matt Tibos are there in 17th and 18th. But Rostro leads that, Mashiro, I should say, leads the way from Volakongan second, Ryan in third. If Rostro was leading, goodness me, then I'd be fired already. Mashiro leads, Volakongan in second, and the pit window actually is now open, and you can see it as I mess up with my UI there. It was between lap 6 and 8 for a set of soft compound of tyres, so I think now is probably the time for these guys to come in, I would think.
Yeah, but that's the standard pit stop strategy. They could probably stretch it an extra lap or so, just through the safety car being out. But yeah, we should be seeing first round of pit stops coming very shortly from these soft runners.
Shwmae weaving there at Adamaco. You saw the move down in towards turn 1, and the Red Bull through, and he's up into 12th position. A little bit of a lag spike there, I think, from James further down the field. But Shwmae up to 12th. He's done a set of medium compounded tyres, and now can really go about his business. Matt Tibos is all over the back of Cowboy as well. The Irishman and the Brit going to do battle here for 16th and 17th further down the field. Nothing really happening further up the field, so we'll try and bring you as much action further down the field as possible. I'm sure Mike will be following a different battle compared to me as well. Seb tries to close up on Nathan further up the field, but as you can hear the fireworks going off, possibly on my end, really loud. The Machine does lead by 7/10 of a second. Volkongan in second, Ryan in third, Nathan in fourth, and the set of soft runners, I think, apart... Oh, I thought Jacob was going to come into the pits, but he doesn't. Now is the time for these guys to really push on their tyres, and Seb, just run on board with him, has got 65% of ERS now to be deployed on Nathan. And this is not a bad time to have it, because Nathan's running at a similar pace and a similar ERS deployment as well.
Yeah, interesting battle we got going on between Nathan and Ryan for that final spot on the podium, with Seb there right behind on those mediums, and he's going to be looking to get through ASAP. Just keep an eye on this battle for 16th at the moment. Matt Tibos all over the back of Crawboy, unable to get close enough down the straight, and this was something I was going to bring up. What would you favour here for downforce? Would you go for the straight line speed so you can get past people on the straights?
I would think more of a balanced setup, to be honest, because this is mainly primarily a cornering track. So I would probably prioritise the downforce for the cornering rather than the overtaking and down the straight, because more than likely these guys will get stuck in a set of soft compounded tyres. I believe Cowboy has just made a mistake then. Matt Tibos is through.
Matt Tibos down the inside at turn 10. Gets the job done. Cowboy again very wide there through 12, and that's going to allow Rostro a good opportunity down this back straight, down the main straight, sorry.
Seb's closing in on Nathan as well, down the inside. He's going to lunge it. Oh, and there's contact, and sadly Seb was never going to pull that one off. Down the inside, the gap was always going to close, and he's now round on the grass through turn 1 and 2. And Seb, he tried to go for the move. He really should have backed off that. It's a little bit of a rookie error, if I've got to be honest.
I wasn't on board with it, but I did see Seb around at the exit of turn 2, but maybe just a little bit of impatience setting in there for Seb.
Yeah, I think, honestly, he was running behind Nathan. He wasn't that far back. He only deployed the overtake mode in the second half of the straight, and that's where he saw the gap close right up on him on the curb. And Nathan, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I think, personally, Seb should have been more spatially aware and not have went for the move. It's as simple as that. But them on the back of Gary for 8th and 9th. Alonso right there as well. Further down the field, Rostro looks like he might be battling with Cowboy as well. But top 3, as we now come on board with the top 3, beginning to pull away. And Nathan, after that contact, has just been unsettled slightly. And that is why, because he's into the pit lane from 4th position out on track, and he's picked up a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane.
Yeah, and that is not going to help Nathan's chances here, as we got Matt Tibos on the back of Proudy DRS wide open. He's going to look around the outside at turn 1, and he's already got it done before we reach the break-in zone.
Yeah, good move there by Matt Tibos up to 13th position. You can see him now ahead on the mini-map. I was just on board with Nathan's pit stop. He goes on for a set of hard compounded tyres as well. And he has got all of the ground to make up. That little bit of contact, not going to do him the world of good, but he's going to be within a chance in the second half of the race, I think, possibly to try and even get those tyres to the end. 25 laps, quite a hard mixture to do. I think these cars actually can only last about 14, 15 laps before they begin to go off the cliff. Right on board with the top 3. We run on board, and particularly with Ryan out on track as well. Mashivo currently leading Volkongan 2nd, Ryan in 3rd, Jekyll in 4th, but AJ leading the medium runners, I should say, at this stage in 5th. Championship leader. He's been outscored by Mashivo. What does he have to do to get Jekyll out on track? And that's why Jekyll's already into pit lane as soon as I said that.
I was just about, oh, as I was just on board with TRT James, who loses it in turn 14 at the chicane, just getting onto that curb on the inside, turning just a bit too early. And around he goes. I was just about to say, though, that all AJ needed to do was just keep within a certain time of Mashiro, and he can make that one stop work for him. But J. Cole into the pits, TRT James now into the pits, checking on another set of the medium compound tyres.
Cowboy and Rostrel nearly went so wide coming to the turf, which would have flung them out even more through the corner. That set of mediums and that set of hards are really not liking this track at all out on track, and it's going to be interesting to see how high degradation they're feeling on those tyres out on track. There's nothing really happening further down the field. We'll flick through back to Shwmae, who's in 5th and closing right on the back of Gary there. These guys, of course, on the set of medium compound tyres. When do you expect these medium runners to pit in? I'm thinking about lap 16, possibly.
Yep, around lap 16, anywhere from lap 14 to lap 17, I think we'll see these medium runners into the pits, as Ryan and Volokonga now into the pits as well. And it was good timing because the mediums were definitely looking like the faster tyre there.
Yeah, lap 11 out of 33, third of the way through now here in Spain, as we see Matt Tebos closing up and easily passing Adam Acko as we come on board with that, and the McLaren is now through. Seb is closing up on Parody as well, doesn't want to make the same mistake on the other AlphaTauri out on track. Of course, Nathan with the Williams, actually, he lunged it down the inside of, but Seb right on the back of Parody, and he's now trying to fight his way back through the field, trying to go for the move, but he didn't complete it, and he's there in P10 out on track. Matt Tebos, by the way, Rostrel's been caught in a bit of traffic, and Matt Tebos has disposed of Adam Acko at a really good point in the race, I think, because he's on 3-lap pressure mediums out on track. He's got guys on a set of hard compound tyres around him. Surely Matt Tebos could be within a chance of possibly winning this, because I think he can go set of softs right at the end of the race, I think.
I mean, only time will tell. I mean, I think he'll try and mirror the strategy of the medium runners up ahead. But interestingly enough, I was just keeping an eye on Jay Cole as he was coming around the final corner, and he did manage to undercut Volokongan there, and Nathan has also managed to get past Volokongan. Yeah,
undercut quite strong around here. It's something like, if you gain on a lap, it's something like 6-7 tenths, I would say, nearly a sector, especially on a set of soft compound tyres. We're seeing Seb now. As the pit window opens for Seb, he is going to get the move done on Parody very easily down the straight. And that is job done for Seb. After his little spin and little coming together with Nathan, he is through and he's up into P9 out on track. Easy as you like.
Interestingly, that he calls himself Seb and goes for a spin. I'll let you draw your own mirror tree there, but yep, up into 9th now, and he's got a bit of a gap up ahead to Adam Acko. Do you think Seb is going to be able to get himself back into this race with the likes of Jonas and Alonso?
He's 11 seconds off the back of the leader currently, which is AJ. And AJ, I brought on board with there, picked up a 3-second time penalty. Gary's putting pressure on the championship leader. And Gary, fresh from his result last time out, really hoping he can try and gather himself in for a potential good result here tonight in Spain. Shwmae's all over the back of him as well, but I'm really thinking that Shwmae's going to have a crack here at Gary running down the straight. 0.2 of a second separating, but now Gary in the second phase of the straights closing up on AJ, and this is for a move for the lead of the race, and now the Irishman tucks in and doesn't go for the move. And I think seeing what happened earlier on with Nathan and with Seb, probably the best thing to do, I think. Not go for the move down in towards Seb on the closing screen would have been too much, and there might have been a little bit of contact. And we stay as we are for the lead of the race. But it's now beginning to gap himself up, and Alonso and Jonas are just beginning to latch onto the back of this as well. So David put a lot of pressure on Gary.
Yeah, Shwmae is really starting to crank up the pressure on Gary, and Gary trying to crank up the pressure on AJ as well. But we just saw Scuderia Seb duck out into the pits, and he's a good 15 seconds behind Volokongan. So that's going to be a big ask for Seb to get himself back up to the likes of Volokongan, Nathan and J. Cole, who's on the back of XL Ryan there. Nathan picks himself up a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, it just beginning to pull away. Volakongan 3-second time penalty. Gary ran very much out wide coming through, and now I think we see the leaders pit in, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, lap 13 out of 33. AJ, Gary's Widema are in. Alonso, Tionas, interestingly, stay out on track. So that's going to be fascinating in its own right, and they'll be probably trying to go another lap on. Cowboy trying to close up as well on Parody. Parody has got no slipstream or no DRS in front on Adamako. I don't think Cowboy's got the closing speed to try and get the move done. In relation to Mashiro and AJ, Mashiro is a mile out in front compared to the likes of AJ, who's just coming out the pits now, and Volakongan and Nathan are side by side running down in towards turn 1. I think Volakongan's just got that move done, has he, up to 13? And Nathan is trying to go around the outside through turn 3, and again a little bit of blistering occurring on that rear right tyre you can see on Volakongan's car, but Volakongan is doing his up to 13th, but Nathan tried to go around the outside there through turn number 3, but didn't quite get the move done. And now these guys will be catching up to the guys that are going longer into the race. And one of those guys, Seb, by the way, as you said, came into the pits. He, interestingly, is behind James, who had a very similar spin. But with the amount of guys still yet to pit in, I think Seb's got a good chance of still trying to sneak a good result out of this race, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for Seb. He is a long way off the back of Zudema, Gary, Nathan, and those battling for the race lead and podium positions, but he should be able to possibly be able to get himself into the top 10, I would think, and I think he would be relatively happy with that after what happened at the start of this race, as we got Cowboy had a little peek down the inside on Powdy.
Yeah, I was watching that from Rostrell's point of view, and Rostrell was getting in quite quick there as well, but Cowboy right on the back of Parody as we right on board, of course, with Rostrell. J. Cole as well, having a fight with his what would be his XL teammate, of course. They're both in the same team, Ryan and J. Cole. And J. Cole running out wide, trying to prioritise the exit coming out of the corner. He is 8th and 9th currently. Gary is side by side with Nathan, trying to go down the inside, not quite. And Gary really wants to try and make hay and make pay this move for 13th.
Yeah, he had a little peek down the inside, and Alonso, I believe he's just come out of the pits and he's come out ahead of Nathan, so a good first stint there for Alonso. He's got himself into the mix to possibly fight for a podium after what was a pretty lackluster qualifying from Alonso, to be fair.
Yeah, Alonso really hasn't liked these qualifying sessions in recent weeks, if I've got to be honest, even going back as far as season 1. Sways into the pit lane then from the lead of the race. That now frees up Matt Tibos into the current lead of the race. I think Matt will have to pit in once again. Callboy, I think, is going to have another crack at Parody running down the straight there as well. He's only running 50% power, but I don't think that's going to make a difference at all, because here comes Callboy down the inside on his fellow Irishman, down the inside and towards turn 1, and it is job done for the Red Bull on the sister car. Red Bull through on the AlphaTauri, and Gary side by side with Nathan getting the move done.
Yep, Gary straight past with DRS, now up into 12th place. Now we can try and get onto the back of this three-way battle between AJ, Volakongan and Alonso.
Rostro having a better exit than out of turn 4 than Parody there as well. And Parody really beginning to struggle, possibly a little bit of overheating on those tyres. Matt Tibos does lead. I've got to be honest, I think Matt is actually putting out that gap. It's 4.3 seconds. The last time I looked, it was 3.8. So Matt Tibos now trying to pull out that gap for the lead of the race. Parody tries to break the DRS toe off Rostro. There is Rostro, as the cameras don't like to pick up on the driver behind for some reason there. But Callboy third, Parody fourth, and Rostro fifth. Mashiro, yeah. Mashiro right on the back as well. And he's got that 3-second lead over Ryan as well, out on track, as we see him just come on to the back of these guys in the worst possible position. Coming through the final corner is Rostro right on the back here of Parody. This battle probably happening further down the field, but Emma's getting quite close to Nathan. But Rostro now down the inside has got the move done even halfway down the straight. So that is Rostro through, and he's up into P4 on the same strategy as Matt Tibos. He is now through, but I...
Gonna look around the outside of Nathan into turn 1 and guess it done.
Saw that on the mini-map. That was an insane move from Twadema. round the outside, I think through turn 1, as you say, and he got the move done. And Nathan's just on 8/10 of a second as a result of that.
Yeah, Nathan getting turn 1, I think he was in surprise. I'm not sure if any contact was made between them, but I think Nathan was in complete shock and awe of Shwmae going clean around the outside. They just missed the corner for turn 2.
Parody running out wide there, coming through turn 9 as well. Right on board with Mashiro. Mashiro, locks up nearly into the back of Parody there, very close. We are more than halfway through, by the way. If you are just tuning in now, why would you be? Where have you been all this time? Have you been watching the fireworks outside? Matt Tibos leads from Adamaco in second. Plenty of fireworks still to come here out on track in Spain. Myself and Mike Edwards are going to be taking you through the action as I run on board with Mashiro, and that is Parody on a set of 16 lap ball hards into the pit lane from 5th position.
Eben is relatively clear he's going to be checking on a set of the mediums to the end. Nathan also into the pits. So I think he may have picked up a bit of damage or something.
Oh, Gary down right on the outside. I'm trying to make the camera work. Gary round the outside, got me by surprise, gets the move done. Through on Alonso, and he's up into P10, and now Alonso will try and fight this back, but Gary is through, and he's up into P10 out on track. And talking about fireworks going off out on track, Gary gets the move done. Round the outside, he's through, and he's up into P10, and that puts himself in the 6th position, I think, so far.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, while Mashiro is being held up by the likes of Rostro, Cowboy in that battle for 3rd place, I mean, they will be pitting soon, as I believe that is James who's gone around on the run up to turn 5, but with Mashiro being held up, you can see the gap between Mashiro and XL Ryan. It is closing.
Yeah, really closing out on track. 2.3 seconds the gap, and Matebos is into the lead from the lead of the race as well. I was just peering out my window because there was a fantastic fireworks display going on there. I don't want to try and miss the action out on track. So with Emma all over the back now of Alonso. This is P11 and 12 out on track. There's another yellow flag in sector 3. I think it's Parody this time that is round. And James is through. Wadema in the meantime through on Alonso. And immediately cuts across and he's up into P8. And to be honest, these guys on a fresher set of hards are not on a bad strategy at all. Because Gary and Wadema have followed through on Alonso, who's on slightly fresher tyres. Maybe the warmness of the track are just coming into play for those guys out on track. Because I think Seb has got the move done on Adamaco.
Yeah, but Seb, after all the pit stops have been made, apart from Rostro, who I think will be in the pits at the end of this lap.
Adamaco down the inside of him. This is great battling coming through turn 4 and 5. And now Seb on the inside line. Now we'll switch it back. Adamaco running through turn 6. He's going to be in behind, but we'll keep on board with this battle for now. Rostro currently now lead from Mashiro in second. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. And it looks like it's Nathan that has had a little bit of a half spin coming out of the pit lane, I think. Adamaco's still on the back of Seb. He's closing in. Gap is there for him to go. But Adamaco says, no, after you. Still 13th.
This is going to be crucial now for Adamaco. He's on a fresh set of the mediums. These guys on fresh set of the mediums, you're going to think that they are going to be very rapid compared to the guys on the hards around them. And I'm interested to see how Matt Tibos is going to get through these guys up ahead. As you see, we got Gary, Zudema, Alonso, and Jonas in a nice four-way battle.
Speed. Adamaco with a closing speed. He's going to go around the outside. Seb shuts the door on him. And that was, to be honest, a little bit of nip and tuck with the position of the car there between Seb and Adamaco. Adamaco had to be forced around the outside. He couldn't get the dummy, but now he's going to get the switch back down the inside and towards turn 4, and he lunges it down the inside on a fresh set of mediums. Oh, and he just disposes of him really easy indeed. And Adamaco has channeled his inner Daniel Ricciardo there and is through, and he's up into P12. And I think Seb has just picked up damage. Left side end plate damage out on track, and that wing came off after, I repeat, after Adamaco got through.
That is very
really
interesting.
Strange. Really strange. I've never seen that before. Unless there was contact and that wing was loose, then answers on the postcard, please, if I've got to be honest. Lap 21 out of 33. Machine will lead. Ryan second. J. Cole in third. AJ fourth. Vola Congan in fifth. Alonso trying to close up now on the back of Shwmae. Shwmae also on the back of Gary. Not going to be close enough for the move. And Seb, because that front wing damage he picked up, is into the pit lane.
Yeah, it's not been a good race for Seb here today.
Oh, why the AI cars have to rejoin the track and park on the racing line? That could have been an instant crash for somebody out on track.
I thought it was a crash.
Yeah, he retired in the pit lane. His car came out, and I was running above with Alonso at the time, and Alonso had to switch his line, essentially, his normal, natural racing line. He had to switch it to avoid the car out on track. Seb has left the session, but he can still continue on. He's in 17th position. Never give up. Don't trust Spain. That's what I'm going to say, because you never know. There might be a safety car or two.
Yep, and we got Matt Tibos on those fresh mediums now all over the back of this four-way battle between Gary, Shwmae, Alonso and Jonas, and this is going to be crucial for Matt Tibos. He needs to start dispatching of these guys immediately.
Yeah, he does. Matt Tibos has got 4 cars. He's got the wall essentially of him. Think of it like the American election. He's got a white wall, a pink wall, an Alfa Romeo wall, and a Renault wall or a Gary wall in front of him out on track. That's the most terrible American politics connotations I had to put up with there. AJ's run on the back of J. Cole out on track. We're 2/3 of the way through. Michelle leads. Ryan in second. Michelle's just really controlling this race now out in front. 2.2 seconds the gap. Ryan is beginning to feel a little bit under pressure, I think, from J. Cole. The gap has been quite stagnant, but AJ on a fresh set of tyres really beginning to come into play, and AJ needs this because he's the championship leader, remember?
Yeah, AJ starting to apply pressure to the XL lads.
No, you can continue. I thought Mashima was leading the championship for some reason. It's AJ still. Sorry.
Yeah, AJ starting to apply pressure to the XL lads, and interestingly enough, Rollerkongan is just outside of that second, and Gary's just outside of the second of Rollerkongan, and these guys can start getting into a DRS train with each other. It will be whoever makes the first mistake.
It will, and to be honest, you would imagine that none of these guys will be wanting a mistake out on track, and these guys really going to fight, I think. We are towards the end game out on track as Gary picks up a 3-second time penalty for running wide, coming through turn 1 and 2. Matt Tibos is all over the back of Tionis, though.
Yep, Matt Tibos doing a fantastic job on those very fresh mediums, and you got to think through the corners now, he's going to be all over the back of Jonas, and he may fancy a little look down into turn 10 here.
Yeah, let's pick on with all this battle then. Matt Tibos and Tionis close in on this train. Gary's with them, Alonso, Tionis, Matt Tibos. Sway's not too far off, he's 3.8 seconds. That can possibly lead one of these guys into a mistake. They all Constantine up, and then it all changes just like that. Matt Tibos is just going to be careful, though. I'm running ball with him. He's got 18% of ERS. He's just going to be really careful on that ERS deployment because Tionis ahead has got 63% coming through turn 12. And that deployment will favour Tibos, because Matt Tibos will run out of that energy deployment running down the straight, and that's not what you want around here.
Yeah, but I believe Matt Tibos has been using his ERS to try and get in this DRS train, and now we'll have the opportunity to maybe try and save a little bit while he has the grip advantage in the corners, but as I said earlier, he doesn't want to be waiting around for his tyres to go off. He needs to be making these moves pretty sharpish.
Yeah, he needs to be. He's just got to save up that ERS, trying to find a weakness out on track in Tionis and in Alonso as well. We'll go back on board with the battle for third as AJ closes in on Jekyll, and he's on fresher tyres. Oh, he snaps the overseer coming through 7 and 8, got caught on the inside curb almost, and AJ now has got to build up that gap. It was 4.5 tenths. He's got to take that 3 tenths back. And now it's given Volokongan a chance, perhaps, to try and get a run here. Looks like, though, we're going to get possibly a 4-way battle, I would say, for second, which is remarkable.
I mean, it could be more added to that party very soon. Gary's only 1.2 off the back of Volakongan.
I mean, he's on a fresh set of tyres, he's in clear air, but the thing that's going to hurt him most is this DRS train ahead of him. As Volakongan will begin to gain away running down the straight. It's 1.4 seconds. I'm going to cut on board though with Tionis. Now on the back of Alonso, he switches to the inside line. Not close enough, and Alonso hangs on for P8 out on tracks. But Demmer's putting a lot of pressure as well on Gary just in front. And this pack, as I said, or the pack ahead I said would be running for P2. These guys are now just beginning to split apart. Gary and Zwadema are coming into contention, and they're just beginning to drop the likes of Alonso, the likes of Tionis, I think, out on track, especially through that first sector.
Well, just on this lap alone, I just saw that DeJonas had a little bit of a luck down the inside of Alonso, and Alonso didn't get the ideal run through turns 1 and 2. He thought that DeJonas' nose was still down the inside, so that would explain just a little bit of time loss between Alonso and Zwadema there.
Machiro still leads. Gap has just closed in slightly. 1.9 seconds out on track. From Ryan in second, Jay Cullen third. Ex-Orlando, by the way, came into the comment section earlier, and he said it'll be a tough one-stop softs to hards. Yeah, and we're seeing that out on track as the majority of the guys are on a set of hard compounded tyres or on a set of medium compounded tyres like this man, Matt Tibos is, as he closes in on the back of Tionis, running down the straight, but Tionis currently in 9th. Matt Tibos still in 10th position. And Alonso is all over the back of Zwadema as well, and Alonso's came from an absolute mile back to be on the back of these. As Rostro now goes for the move on Adamaco down the inside. Oh, very close to contact, and Adamaco has somehow found a way through, and he's still in 12th.
Yep, Adamaco there, just staying ahead of Rostro, and that's going to be a battle that's probably going to go on until the end of this race between these two. As AJ picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, how crucial is that going to be?
Very crucial, I think. It might not be his first out on track either. I'm sure he picked up a 3-second time penalty earlier on. When we get a little bit of a lull in the action, we'll try and review the penalties so we have that race results for you at the end. Machiro right on top, Ryan second, Jay Cole third, AJ in fourth. But it's not really pushing AJ. It's pushing AJ now to go quicker. And he's just beginning to find the time again on Jay Cole. 0.5 of a second as we come now down the hill through 14 and 15 and then through the right-hander of turn 16. Volakongan is still on the back of this as well, and these guys are just beginning to split apart once again. I'll come on board though with the battle for 8 as Tionis is all over the back of the Racing Point. Williams against Racing Point. Has the Williams got enough? And as Zwadema on Gary goes down the inside, job done. Tionis has a bit of a look in. Oh, that gap was always going to close nearly similar to Seb early on in the race. And now Matt Tibos is trying to push his way, find a way through on Tionis. He bounces Tionis out of the way. It could have been a little bit of a decent possibly on Matt Tibos' end, but nonetheless he is through and he's up into P9. Slight tap though forced Tionis out wide, and Adamaco's right on the back of Rostro.
Yeah, these two were side by side through turns 1, 2 and 3, and they're still side by side. As we go down into turn 5, Adamaco looking around the outside. Can he get the traction? It looks like he has got the traction. They're still side by side.
This is going to end in one way, I think. But Adamaco's still side by side with him. Rostro having a good battle, and Adamaco pushes him onto the grass. And that is why I said it wasn't going to end up fairly out on track. And Adamaco just pushes him out the way. Rostro will feel hard done by, but that's racing at the end. Adamaco had the line, and he's through and he's up to 12th.
Yeah, and both of them in that battle picking up a 3-second time penalty, just nullifying the advantage that they would have over each other from it. And yeah, great battle between Adamaco and Rostro there. As Zwadema putting the fastest lap in.
And Matt Tibos down the inside as well, and Alonso down the inside he goes, and he's finally through in Alonso, and he's through and he's up into 8th position. Great move there down the inside of turn 1. Matt Tibos through and he's up into 8th. So that's in the space of 2 corners, him getting the move done. Rostro and Adamaco are still having a right set to him behind. For P12 and 13 out on track. As Adamaco still tries to fight his way through on Rostro. But Rostro, the man who normally gets all the support here within TTML Division 2, where's your support now? He's having the best race of his life against Adamaco.
It's a fantastic battle for 12th between Rostro and Adamaco. But we are seeing Zudema and Gary get into that DRS train for the battle for second. And the way Zudema is driving at the moment, he is looking incredibly quick.
Yeah, he does indeed. Obviously, he set the new fastest lap of the race, so that's an extra point possibly going his way as well out on track. Seb's AI has came into the pits. I think DRT James is still out there. He is not. He is on the lead lap still, but he's getting closed down by Mashiro, who's behind him. Here comes AJ on the back of J. Cole. J. Cole closing in as well on Ryan. Is he going to try and lunge it down the inside? No, not close enough. Ryan stays in P2, and Alonso is trying to have a go at Matibos. Not quite. 8th position out on track. Quite a lot of battling, but what we'll do at this point, Mike, run through the top 10 in the penalties.
Okay, so going for the penalties, we got Mashiro on just the 1 warning, so no penalties for Mashiro. Ryan on 2 warnings, so he's 1 away from a 3-second time penalty. J. Cole on 1 warning.
Oh my goodness me, sorry to cut in. AJ having a right moment here out on track, coming through turn 7 and 8. Really not liking that corner at all, and Volakongan on the back, but not close enough for the move.
AJ on 2 penalties. I believe the invalid lap time means that he got a penalty on that lap. Volakongan on... I also believe that's 2 penalties here. As we got Zudema on only 1 warning that he picked up on the previous lap. That was his first warning of the race. Gary on 2 penalties, so he's going to be dropping a few positions. Perhaps Matt Tibos, no penalties. And Alonso with a 5-second time penalty, which I believe he served. And 2 3-second penalties for exceeding the track limits. And Jonas in 10th on 2 warnings, so he's 1 away from a 3-second time penalty.
Zudema is trying to find a way through on Volakongan. Thanks for that, Mike. In terms of the penalties, Michelle still leads Ryan second, J. Cole in third out on track. Penalties, though, can make a big difference in Division 2. We've seen it before. We are probably going to see it again at some point in the season as well. Zudema right on the back of Volakongan, but not close enough. Down the inside, he tries to think about getting the exit on the corner, but not quite close enough. Up the hill through 11 and 12, and look at the train. This train, Ryan is holding up, spanned all the way down to Tionis in P10, and that is a picture and a half. We saw about 9 cars there in shot. Ryan is under sustained pressure, but I think he's just got DRS because of Seb's AI car.
Matibos, I think, is right on the back of Gary. He's going to look for a move. He's out of the peak.
No, he's having a peek down the inside. He wasn't close enough, and that was because he was only running at 5% ERS running down the straight. He's just lagging slightly as well, which might be a little bit of a concern, but we've got 3 laps to go. AJ right on the back of J. Cole. You see the difference in the lines these guys take out on track as AJ has to try and find a way through on J. Cole. He's got 4 lap pressure tyres. He will have at this point about 12% better off in terms of tyres. There's a battle happening further down the field. Volakongan 3-second time penalty.
Yep, Volakongan under pressure from Zudema now. Ashley Jonas picks up a 3 seconds time penalty. Everyone's picking up time penalties now.
Yeah, really beginning to let the mental side really kick in. AJ right on the back now of J. Cole that just goes through Seb's AI car. And AJ right on the back, but Mashiro has really controlled this race out in front. The Japanese man is on course for a potential win out on track. Hopefully we'll get Ryan and J. Cole or whoever finishes on the podium in for interviews. Mike will be prepared for that, I'm sure, shortly. And AJ right on the back of J. Cole. J. Cole out of the slipstream pretty much to Ryan. And now AJ's got the best chance of the race to go for the move. Down the inside, we've got Alonso as well, and Matt Tibos fighting further down. But here comes AJ down the inside line, and it's job done for AJ. The championship leader needed that. He is through and he's up into third. And Alonso, I think, followed through on that move, and he's through and he's up to 8th.
Yep, Alonso getting past Matt Tibos here. I wasn't on board with that. I was on board with Zudema. I think I was on board with J. Cole looking at the Mercedes ahead, but it was the ghost car Scuderia Seb.
Seb, of course. Paddy's going for a fastest lap attempt, I think. He's into the pit lane. May as well. He's got the track to do it. As now we've got 1.5 laps to go. We see a beautiful camera angle running up the hill with Wollongong. We'll be right on board through P4 and 5. Nobody close enough, though, down in towards turn 9. Turn 9 normally a good point to have a goal for a late move down the inside. But now, what this has done, I think, has really got right. All of that battling further down with AJ and J. Cole has just let Ryan sneak away, and look at the gap. It's bordering on that 1 second advantage out on track in terms of the DRS, and I think AJ is just within it, if I'm not mistaken. He is not within it, in fact, out on track. Final lap has begun, and now Zwadema closes in on the back of Wollongong, and this is for P5 now, out on track. Is he going to lunge it down the inside? No, Zwadema thinks second of it. Wollongong is still hanging on for grim life. Zwadema could have a thing about the outside of turn 3, tries to get the better exit. They take it flat out through there. J. Cole is coming back to Wollongong as well. So the two XL boys, the two Alfa Romeo boys as well out on track, are really sandwiching in Wollongong with half a lap to go.
Yep, and knowing J. Cole and Zwadema, they are probably in a party with each other and know the penalty situation all around them.
They will, definitely. They could be within a good chance of a top 3, but as we fly right on board with Zwadema, he is catching on the back of Wollongong, and this is really his last opportunity to try and get an overtake done. He's not close enough, and nobody, in fact, is close enough, so I think we might remain as they are. A little bit of a shove there from Zwadema on Wollongong, trying to make sure he gets it through, but now Mashiro rounds through the final couple of corners out on track. His gap is closing, but that's only because he's saving the fuel. Mashiro round the final corner out on track. It's going to be less than a second for him to win, but Mashiro wins here in Spain. Ryan in second, AJ with all of those penalties. J. Cole, I think, has got third. Zwadema misses out. Matt Tibbles up to fifth. Plenty of penalty changes going on. Rostro ran the final corner to finish in 12th. Adamako across the line to finish in 13th. Callboy to finish in 14th. Mike, if you can get the top 3 at the ready, that would be fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, and I have to agree with that one. You done fantastic. Yep, I was just checking what account Mashiro was on there.
We should have the interviewees coming in very shortly indeed. And Mike, fantastic race in the end. Who was your driver of the day?
Do you know what? I think I'd have to give it to Mashiro. It's a boring pick, but he didn't put a foot wrong all race.
Yeah, he didn't. He really dominated affairs as well in the closing stages out on track. So well done to Mashiro. He takes your driver of the day. I think, honestly, my driver of the day, it's difficult. I think Zwadema gets my driver of the day vote, to be honest. I think he drove well. He was on that same strategy, remember, as Gary when he came into the pit lane and finished ahead of him out on track. So well done to Zwadema out on track. He gets my vote for driver of the day as we see the other Excel boys out on track come in. And starting with the man in P2, it is, of course, Excel Ryan. And Ryan, your first podium here in TTML Division 2. You must be happy with that.
I'm not going to lie, it's been a long time coming. You know, after Bahrain, I was on for P3 and I actually bottled it. And then also I missed China and I've come in, little practice, and I'm actually dead proud of myself. So I can't complain.
I'm really proud for you as well. It must be quite an achievement to get onto the podium in TTML Division 2. But talk us through your race, because that safety car quite early on, I think, worked in your favour slightly.
Yeah, so obviously the strategy here, as you saw in Qualia, a lot of people were trying to go for the mediums, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to go for the softs, and that early safety car just helped a lot of the soft runners. Like, it put the medium runners in a bad situation. It meant for us soft runners, we could actually just extend our stint by a lap or two, so we don't actually have to worry about the hards as much when it came to the end, so I was able to push a bit more.
Do you think going on to that set of hard compound of tyres, that lap or two later, saved the tyres towards the end of the race as well? Because your tyres must have been quite shot towards the end.
Yeah, so I think by the final lap I was on 75% on my front left. I know J. Cole behind me was in the 80s and absolutely panicking. So I think staying at that lap later probably saved me because I know my tyre wear isn't the best.
It's a fantastic result though out on track. Mike, any questions?
No, I just going to say congratulations to the boyo.
Oh, well, you know, thank you very much, Mike. Obviously, I had my sheep behind me following J. Cole, so it was good to have him along.
And next week, of course, I believe we go to Baku next week, if I'm not mistaken. How do you think you'll get on around there?
I'm not going to lie, Baku's one of my worst tracks, so anything in the points, so basically 19th upwards, I will be happy with. 19th upwards, that is a very good motivational goal to have for next week, I've got to say. If you set the standards low, you're going to achieve them at least.
Exactly, he is going to achieve them. Hopefully he'll actually finish out on track to retrieve that, so it'll be fascinating to see. But we'll move on, of course, to the man in P3, J. Cole, and you were called the sheep, according to your man that finished in second position. Talk us through your race.
I'm not going to lie, I do agree. I probably was the sheep for that. Ryan literally was just dragging me along, and yeah, as he was saying, I was proper panicking. Coming towards the end of the race, I think my tyres were on like 81 or 82%, so I was very close to puncture. I was just lucky that AJ had quite a few penalties under his sleeve, so I managed to just maintain that P3. But yeah, majority of it just sort of sitting behind Ryan. Just, you know, I'm happy that I've actually managed to pick up myself a podium for it as well. So I'll take it. Spain isn't a good track for me either, so I'll take it.
And what did I say last week at the end of our interview? I would see you hopefully again, and then here you are. 1 week later, you are here once again.
Yeah.
Oh no, you're not. No, you weren't here last week, were you?
Dan.
It was Videma and Gary.
Well, you got the other two better XL ones this week.
Fantastic race though. But talking about that safety car, how did it affect you out on track? Because you were on a slightly different strategy to Ryan in the end.
Yeah, well, that safety car, it did really help. When I wasn't too sure whether to actually go in and pit and try and do like a two-stop, but then when I saw the cars that were all still behind on lap 2, I just knew that if I would have gone into the pits, I'd have been at the back, and it just wouldn't have been the smartest thing to do. So stayed out, pit, I think it was on like lap 9, just to do a bit of an undercut. Almost didn't work, but in the end, I just held it and it worked. I'll take it. Like I said, I was literally the sheep from Ryan. Well, I was the sheep from Ryan because he was just dragging me along.
Mike, any comments?
I was just going to mention about the undercut. It seemed like that undercut was very crucial for you to get right in behind Ryan to really get dragged along by him for the rest of the race.
Yeah, no, it definitely did help. I do want to thank Ryan, because without him, I probably wouldn't be on a podium. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, no, it's a good race all round.
Yeah, fantastic race from your perspective and from Ryan's perspective as well. We go to Baku next week, though, a track that has been not really in your favour, I think, in terms of League of Europe. How do you think you'll get on?
Awful. I'm just going to put it out there. I'll put, like Ryan said, if you set the standards low, you're going to achieve them. I'm at least just hoping to try and get a decent points finish next week, like at least maybe even in the top 10. But at this point, Baku probably my worst track, so I'm not exactly holding any hopes for it. But then again, I didn't for Spain, and I'm sitting on a podium, so maybe you can pull off another miracle. You never know.
Yeah, now that he said that, he'll finish P19 next week. You will. Thank you guys, though, for the interviews. We will wrap it up here, of course, in Spain. Fantastic to hear from, of course, Ryan and J. Cole. We go to Baku next week, Mike, though. And talking with the guys there, Baku was one of those tracks where the old meets the new. And that castle section is one of the most ridiculous corners you could have on any track.
I love Baku. Baku is one of my favourite tracks, and it's going to be exciting to see these guys go around the walls. Very, very easy to chip off a bit of front wing. That long DRS straight promoting overtakes is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, Baku is probably one of my favourite tracks to commentate on out there. And of course, the news came through today that Saudi Arabia is going to be added onto the F1 calendar as well. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on that, actually. I personally think it's a bad move for Formula One because it's in a country that hasn't got the best the human rights terms of, like, I can't think of the word, but yeah, you know what I mean. What are you guys' thoughts on that, though?
I mean,
I think the silence really says it all. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be it's going to be interesting. I will admit it will be very interesting. But I do get why people were saying they don't think it should be on the calendar. But I mean, it's just another track that's on the calendar. I don't see it as that. I really just sort of see it as it could just be another good street race for Formula One and for the drivers. So I guess we'll be intrigued to see how it goes also in the next game as well, if it is added into the next game.
Yeah, if it is added on to the next game. And currently that race will fall on my birthday as well next year. So I will get to look forward to possibly watching that on my birthday next year. But anyways, thank you so much for watching here in TTML Division 2. We've rambled on too much, I think, in the commentary box. We'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go and enjoy your fireworks displays that are probably ending by now because everyone's going to bed. And we will see you, of course, tomorrow night. Division 4 and Division 5 action on League Racing TV. Graham Chaplin Cowboy taking through Division 4. And then it's the GOAT commentary team of myself and Daniel Hoggard who are taking you through Division 5. And then I'm just going to throw it out there. You can tune in on Saturday as well to League of Europe because it's my 50th commentary around Singapore. There you go. A little bit of personal pride in that, I think. But we will end there. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, stay safe, stay at home. Goodbye.